Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some communication skills, some techniques, tell you some more stories, talk a little bit about how you can improve the quality of your own life by what you do and how you do it. One of the most important ways to recognize that is to first start with the idea of, do I understand the people around me? Am I listening well? How do I better my personal environment so I can make good decisions and do what I need to do? Well, the first thing to do is to realize that most of us, and some of you that have been here before, understand that we make assumptions about a lot of things. You ever listen to somebody and they start talking, you already know what they're going to say, so you say, oh yeah, I can answer that, yeah, I can do that. And then you realize that maybe it is something that they really weren't saying. They meant something differently. So what I thought we'd start off with is a little quiz, a little test that teaches you how not to make assumptive thinking, how not to make assumptions about certain things, and how to really take a look at people around you and things around you. So I handed you out a little questionnaire, and each one of these questions you can get right if you don't make assumptions. If you make assumptions about certain things, then you will not be able to succeed. And what I mean by that is, let me give you an example of a question, then we'll go through these questions. If I were to say that Mary and Jane were born of the same parents within 1 minute of each other, but they're not twins, how is that possible? Now, what most people think when you listen to that is there a stepfather involved? Were they born in a different time zone? They have different parents? And the answer is they're triplets. But you don't think about triplets, you're thinking about the trick part of the question. And so what we're trying to do is break down some of the assumptions you make, and it will change the way you not only talk, it will change the way you listen, and you will be able to virtually read people's minds. You'll be able to understand the way other people think, which is important both in your personal life as well as in the trial-related and professional life that you're going to have. So the first question is, imagine you're alone in a boat with a large hole in the bottom. Sharks are swimming around you. On all sides, and the boat is sinking fast. How do you survive? Stop imagining. Because the mindset is, let me figure some angle, there's a hole in the boat, maybe I got to get underneath it, there's some angle. It's stop imagining. You have to break down the assumptions you make about certain things. A murderer is condemned to death. He has to choose between 3 rooms. One is full of raging fires. The other, full of assassins. And the third, full of very hungry lions who haven't eaten in 3 years. Which option should they take? Yes, sir. Why? If they haven't eaten in 3 years, they're dead. See? So your mindset thinks, you think in your mind, well, I'm not really sure. They must be really hungry. They're going to be very dangerous. And you don't realize that if you haven't eaten in 3 years, you are dead. There's no question about it. What do you sit on, sleep on, and brush your teeth with? Now, a lot of people struggle with this because they think it's a trick question. And the answer is, what? A chair, a bed, and a toothbrush. I never said it was one thing. Don't make assumptions. All of you make assumptions about the way you think and the way you are. An airplane crashed into a field. Every single person in the aircraft died, but 2 people survived. How is that possible? Yes, ma'am. They were married. It says every single person. Okay? Be careful. You need to read more closely. Don't make assumptions about certain things. 2 children were playing checkers, and each played 5 games. Both won the same amount of games, but there were no ties. How is that possible? Yes, sir.
They played 10 games in total because each played 5 games.
No. Yes, sir.
They didn't play each other.
That's correct. They played different people. You just make an assumption. They must have been playing each other. So what's the trick on this? You have to break down the way you think. You have to stop making assumptions and make sure you know what you're seeing. Make sure you know what you're hearing so that you can make an intelligent response. So we'll talk about that later when we talk about dealing with conflict. A young guy who just started learning to drive, sounds like some of you, went down the wrong way, down a one-way street, but he didn't break the law. How is that possible? Yes, sir. What? He didn't get caught. Yes, sir. He wasn't driving. He was walking. Hey, just because he was learning to drive didn't say he was in the car. Don't make assumptions. Again, that's exactly right. And what you realize is that in life you do that. You make assumptions about what your teachers meant, what your parents meant, what your boyfriend or girlfriend meant, what your friends meant. You don't realize that you're not really listening to them and you're not getting good information. What word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? Yes, ma'am. The word incorrectly. Most of you think, I got to figure it out. There's some angle. It's faux pas or Q or some of these other things. Not so. Incorrectly, because it's asking you, how many seconds are there in a year? Anybody? The first concept is think about, let's add up all the seconds. There's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour. There's 24 hours. Geez, I need my calculator. There are 12. January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd, April 2nd, May 2nd. It says how many seconds? Open your mind, people, and recognize that you need to think. You need to listen. You need not to overreact. If you have it, you want to share it. But if you share it, you don't have it anymore. What is it? It's a secret. Think about it. Once I share it, it's no longer a secret. Very important to think about what the question is asking. How do you drop a raw egg onto a concrete floor without cracking it? Yes, ma'am. You crack it first. Anybody else? Yes, sir. You drop it, the floor won't crack. Concrete floors don't crack when eggs are dropped on them. Read the question. Doesn't say without cracking the egg. It says without cracking it, and the modifier is after concrete. So pay attention. Don't make assumptions. It took 20,000 workers to build the Taj Mahal in 20 years. How many will it take to build in 10 years? Yes, ma'am. None. It's already built. You can't rebuild it. Then it would be the rebuilding of the Taj Mahal. I didn't say the rebuilding of the Taj Mahal. Don't make assumptions. A man is trapped in a room. The room has only two possible exits. One is a room constructed with magnifying glass, and the blazing hot sun immediately fries anything that enters the room. The second room is this giant 10-foot lengthy kind of like bowl, if you will, that goes on ad infinitum, and it's got 10 feet of water filled to the top. How does the man escape? Yes, sir. He waits till night and goes to the magnifying glass room. There's no sun at night. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume there's some trick with the water and I got to figure it out and I can walk around the water or I can underneath it or I really have a scuba tank. Don't make assumptions. Rearrange the letters in the words new door to make one word. Yes, ma'am. One word. Not two words, but the actual O-N-E-W-O-R-D. One word. You see how by doing these things, that what you do is you make assumptions about everything. You make assumptions about what your parents are saying and what they mean. You make assumptions about what your teachers, what your friends. You make assumptions about a lot of things. And what we need to do in order to realize how we're going to succeed both in school, in personal life, in professional life, in mock trial if you want, to go on to have a career, to actually be ahead of every other student in the world, you need to learn these tips. And once you learn how to disabuse yourself of these kinds of thinking patterns, you will change the quality of your life. You will recognize the opportunities. You will see what other people don't see. And that's a huge advantage. How would you like to be in a room and sort of know what everybody feels without them knowing it? That's pretty impressive. How would you like to truly be able to understand somebody in a way that when you respond, they say, wow, that person really understands me. When you get really good at it, then you can really be a superstar. And let me show you how good. I'm going to prove to you how scientific this is. I'm actually going to be able to tell you what one card that you guys are thinking is without even, just by looking at your face. So I want all of you to think of a card. Think of a card in suit, diamonds, hearts, whatever it is. And then I want you to pick anybody in the room. We haven't spoken before, right? Right. Okay, you. You pick whoever you want, and they will stand up and tell me what card they were thinking, and I will guarantee you it'll be on the back of this card. Now that would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would you guys like follow me to the end of the earth if I could do that?
Yes.
Okay. Stand up and pick somebody you don't know. Okay, stand up and say your name. What is the name of your card? It is the King of Diamonds. Now, would you follow me if this card was the King of Diamonds? If the King of Diamonds was contained on the back of this card, yes? There it is, baby. Every single card, including the King of Diamonds. I expect all of you to be following me forever. You recognize that you make assumptions about certain things, and we have to stop that thinking. And as we talked about, you start to see by doing some of these tests that you all think about different things. And that's because when you're young, you're taught about, hey, whoever's got the answers right, whoever really jumps to the conclusion is right, whoever can hurry up and understand somebody, they're going to be rewarded. And that's not necessarily the right way to do things.